You've got to know what you're searching in order to find it. And if you're going to come alive, you got to know what should you put in the search engine of life to populate an opportunity. All right, so how do you come alive becomes the question. I mean, what good is it to tell you got to come alive? And thank you, have a good night. And I haven't told you how. That's why I like to give principles. I believe it's my responsibility as a speaker to be a mirror of words, to say something to you, not for you to see me, but for you to have a reflection of your life and know that you're better than where you are. So, ways you come alive. First is exposure and environment. Being on this university is exposure and environment. It changes the game. It changes your environment, like no matter where you grew up at, no matter what neighborhood you're in, no matter what level of exposure, if you come, I don't know the area, if you come from Cleveland, Akron, Canton, you name it. You are now brought into a place that everybody has the same idea, the same mindset. The city you grew up in, wherever you grew up in, everybody's not at this college. This is the greatest place in the world to start a business because you'll never have access to this many people at one time. Every day you're walking around thousands of people that are potential people that can spread your business, spread your ideas, spread your market. Where else can you impact this many people that know other people to spread it out? The power of ideas that circulate around this university. Man, if you had a moment to really think about how connected ideas are, I won't spend a long amount of time on it, but I think it's important to mention the power of an idea. So let me break this down, because I believe whatever you respect stays in your life. I don't care if that's a girlfriend or a job or a boyfriend. Anything you disrespect leaves your life. It won't hang around for long. Ideas are the same way. It's always floating around. That's why you can see something and say, man, I was just thinking about that. Or I had an idea similar to that, but you never respected it enough to act on it. So you got to respect ideas. You're living around an environment of ideas, but you got to respect it enough to grab it and do something with it. So let me show you how ideas are connected. Somebody had to have an idea for internet, right? But if the person with the idea for internet said, I'll do it tomorrow. Somebody had an idea for Wi-Fi, but they're waiting on the person with the idea for internet. Somebody had an idea for social media, but they're waiting on the person with the idea for Wi-Fi, waiting on the person with the idea for internet. Somebody had an idea to connect all of us for you to be able to log in and even see your grades, but school can't do that if the person with Wi-Fi doesn't do it, if the person with internet doesn't do it, because every person has to function in their idea and respect it enough to put it into the market for all of us to enjoy it. Somebody's waiting on your idea. There's somebody 30, 40 years from now that is going to sit around and run into a problem that they shouldn't have to face. Do you know the chair you're sitting on was an idea that somebody made to solve a problem you not having to stand? But what if they didn't put their idea into the market? We'd all be standing up saying, please hurry up. Somebody had to have an idea. All right, so the first is environment and exposure. What you're exposed to changes everything. I was exposed to some things as a young age. My mother and father are entrepreneurs. I've never seen. Well, I saw my mother work in a school system. My mother is an educator. She worked in the school system for years, and then they started their own businesses. So outside of that, I know entrepreneurship. I started my first business at 11, selling icy cups and selling around the neighborhood. I went from that to selling candy. I grew up in the church, so then from there, I knew all the church kids was hungry because their parents was at church all day. So I started selling snacks. I go to Sam's, my mama grab my snacks, start selling it, and that same idea never left me. So exposure changed the game, and that's why I was driven towards entrepreneurship. So you're being exposed to something here. So the next step, education. The number two thing that makes you come alive is education. For you to have an opportunity to educate yourself in any arena, you have changed everything. You have changed the opportunities of your lifetime by just being educated. A diploma tells people, I have the ability to learn. It doesn't talk about work ethic. We'll get into that in a minute. It doesn't tell people your work ethic. It doesn't tell them if you come to work late. It doesn't tell them how long you'll be with the company. It just says that I have the ability to start something and finish it. That's what that diploma does. So education is that. But I want to move very fast. I can't live in education too long. The third thing that makes you come alive is my favorite word. Execution. Oh, it's my favorite word. I gotta say it again like Mufasa. Execution. I love that word. It's a motto I live by. It's a principle I call the speed of execution. Because what you do is just as important as when you do it. Because you would hate to sit around and say, oh, I got a great idea for a typewriter. But nobody uses a typewriter anymore. What you do is just as important as when you do it. So these 4 years, and even after that, what you do is just as important as when you do it. So I always think about this. I don't brag about this, but Colin knows. My first book that they mentioned when the day I wrote it in 10 days. My second book, The Heart Diary, I wrote it in 1 day. In a 30-day period, I wrote 4 full books and 12 ebooks. How? Because I understood the respect of an idea and the ability to rush to execute it. Because when you get an idea, you are as excited as you will ever be. But if you give it enough time, tell enough people, and start thinking about it, you'll second guess yourself, and other people will convince you of whatever you didn't convince yourself of. So you gotta rush to execute it and measure the results later. Because if you live in this education too long and never execute, you'll be the smartest person in the room that's never done anything. Those people are called critics. Michael Jordan should have, they can sit on the sidelines of life. And I don't want you to be a window shopper of life. Standing outside of a store of all the things you could have saying, whoa, that'll look good. Never realizing that you have the education, the information that you need to go in and get it. You understand that? I want you to know that hard work and execution is the new business card. Don't hand anybody else your business card. Just let them see your work. I was telling Colin that the ability to execute, that when you respect ideas, they never stop flowing. My first book was written I released it July 15th. In a 1-year period, I wrote 23 books, released 2 of them. My problem now is which one do I release, because the moment I get an idea, I don't stop until it's done. I don't stop until I execute. Execution is your new buzzword. It is. Execution is the new business card. Execution is the new resume. Execution, that you take everything that your teacher taught you and apply it. Man, okay, I gotta move. I told you about 3 heroes, and I've been up here long enough, and I'm still on Howard Turner. Sheesh, execute already. All right, so my second one is Martin Luther King. I mean, I really believe that he's probably my uncle, cousin, might be my father. I don't know what. I don't know. All right, manager, excuse me. So when I think about what Martin Luther King said, it's my thrust of what I want to tell you. He said something that's so important. It's 2 things. I'm going to just deal with the first. He said, we've reached that moment in time where tomorrow has become today. That the 2 times have emerged, and now you got to function under the fierce urgency of now. I kind of adopted it, and I deal with what I call the gift of now. And every person I talk to, I tell them that any person that struggles with procrastination, you're arrogant. Yeah, you're extremely arrogant, and I feel sorry for you. I hate that. I can't sugarcoat that. It's arrogance at its finest. And you're like, how are you arrogant about procrastinating? Because you didn't give yourself today. So how can you take a gift and throw it away under the assumption you'll have tomorrow? How do you assume that you can do it tomorrow when you didn't give yourself today? It's like me handing you $100 and you say, oh, okay, well, now don't worry about it today, I'll get $100 from you tomorrow. How do you assume that I'll give it to you tomorrow? Any person that procrastinates is arrogant. Because if you didn't know that you could get tomorrow, you wouldn't put off tomorrow. How do you borrow from tomorrow already? How do you borrow from tomorrow's time? You're just going to transfer from yesterday and keep throwing it to tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. That's arrogance. See, what I had to do, there I go again, telling you a statement without a solution. The solution to procrastination, I believe it no longer exists. It's just something you made up in your mind, because if I said, the moment I'm done, rush down here and I got $1 million,